Welcome to another episode, a special episode of the
Box People.
Box People.
We are joined two of the four ladies from the Cusick Gallery. They are the it place to go, the official fan site for Henry Ian Cusick. They have every single thing the man has done, his entire family. It's fantastic. If you are a new fan, I suggest you go to their website and you follow them on every social media. They're very supportive. They're very lovely ladies. And with that, I would like to start by asking how this started, how Cusick Gallery started.
Gosh, so I was a fan of Jesus Christ Superstar. And I was following the Ted Neely fans. I'm a Jesus freak. I just, he's kind of a cool guy. So I really, I was born and raised Catholic, but I just always, when I saw Godspell live in grade school, it just changed my life. So anyway, the infighting with the Ted Neely fans was really something. And so I was looking for other Jesus movies because I just was curious, and I saw the Gospel of John. Well, of course, Ian's performance just blew me away. And I thought, who is this guy? So I did some research. I found his official website at the time, was run by a lady by the name of Barb. And she had actually kind of just started it when the movie. So the movie came out in, I want to say September of 2003 at the Toronto Film Festival. I saw it in, I think, March. I think I saw it during Lent. I was doing my Let's Watch a Jesus Movie during Lent thing. And yeah, so I wrote to her. I kind of joined up. She was kind of all over. I learned a lot about being online. Message boards, learned a lot about all of that from following her lead. She did have a chat area. What do we call those? Message boards, I guess. Okay. And so I had started, I thought, well, I'm going to promote this movie. So I started a Yahoo group for the Gospel of John. Yahoo! And so then she wrote Ian and told him about it. And he wrote to me to thank me for it. And that was the beginning. Oh. So I know, isn't he sweet? From day one, 100%. I didn't believe it was him. I showed it to her. She goes, no, that's him. So then after a period of time, they kind of fell out, and so I just took over.
Barb fell out?
Well, she did.
Fell out of the box?
A moment of silence for Barb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody close your lid.
Exactly right.
So how did Kathy and the rest of the ladies get on board?
So when I first was corresponding with him, he didn't have Lost yet. And so then when he said he was going to go to Hawaii, or he was in Hawaii, and he was going to do Lost, I said, oh my God, you have no idea what's about to befall you. I wasn't a Lost fan, but I knew of the frenzy. And so at that point, the showrunners for Lost, J.J. Abrams in particular, started his own message board for Lost fans. And that's where everything happened. Everything happened there all the time. It was constantly moving. It was huge. And you could ask direct questions of the cast and the showmakers. It was phenomenal. It was called The Fuselage. And if you're really curious and interested, you can get to those archives still. So it's a little more difficult. It's the board itself isn't really up, but you can get to the archives to see what those discussions were. Ian's tagline was, Yo soy Desmond.
It was what?
Yo soy Desmond, or I am Desmond in Spanish. And I guess it's because his cousin used to run around saying, Yo soy Superman, and he always thought it was funny. So he used that for Yo soy Desmond. So anyway, and I knew Erica before I knew Kathy, I believe.
Yeah, you did.
And then, we had lots of Desmond threads. So that's where his fans congealed. And in fact, Jane Dean, I just posted some fan art of hers. She was the lady who started a website called Lost Desmond. And she was very savvy with the internet and online stuff. And so you would go to this website and click through screens, trying to learn. You would learn more about what had happened to him and trying to figure out where he was, because we didn't know, because the show was happening in real time. So she was another big fan for quite a while. But then, yeah, Kathy, you started in 2007?
Yeah, early 2007. And, was doing the internet searches, seeing what I could find on that hot Scotsman that I liked in the show, and came across your Yahoo group. The Yahoo group was where I first met you guys.
So Desmond pulled you into Ian's world.
Yeah, it was really funny. I was a big fan of Journey. I mean, I still am, but their lead singer at the time, I remember I was on a message board with those fans, and they were talking about the Scotsman that was on Lost. And a couple girls thought he kind of resembled, at the time, Steve O'Jerry, who was the lead singer of Journey. So I said, and I was really a Steve fan, not Steve Perry, but Steve O'Jerry. He was the second singer. So I said, well, gosh, I'll check them out, and I love anything, Scots, UK, whatever. And I did. And yeah, from the first get-go, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy is just, yeah, amazing, in looks. And then I loved the accent. At that time, I didn't know that wasn't his own accent, but all that stuff. So, yeah, so I just wanted to know more and more and more. And of course, go back and get caught up. I actually had watched the first season of Lost. And then when the second season started, I was watching another show that was on at the same time. And maybe this was before recording and all that. I'm trying to remember. But I just couldn't watch both. And I was into the other show too. So I didn't watch the beginning of the second season, even though I did like the first season. Gary and I both watched it. But so got away from it in the second season until I heard about the Scotsman, and then got back. But it was actually season 3 that I tuned in and saw Ian on. And then, of course, went back and got caught up on season 2. So I actually was not there live for his big introduction, which, of course, season 2, episode 1 is like the best ever. As they found the hatch and what was down in the hatch. So that was all. And I can only imagine for you and the fans that were watching at that time to see who it was down there.
Everybody was blown away.
Yeah, you knew it was Ian, right? I mean,
I didn't. I didn't know what his character was going to be.
Oh, okay.
He didn't know what his character was going to be.
Yeah, I know he didn't know anything about the show, but
When I saw him get off the bunk and skittle across, I'm like, oh my God, that's how I had to realize it was him.
That's Jesus.
That's Jesus.
Yeah, that's Jesus.
In his skivvies, yeah.
In his boxers, but yeah, that was him.
Why is he washing dishes?
But honestly, the fans just fell in love immediately. And so he took off in popularity on the fuselage, and Jane again started Desmond's clan as a thread on the fuselage. So that's where the fans gathered.
That's so cool. I like the way you guys were introduced. And Sunny, I don't know if you want to share your story too of how you were sucked into Ian's world.
Yeah, so for me, it was I was getting ready for work, and I was in the bathroom. I was putting on makeup. I was working at Taekwondo at the time, and you always do that wrong. So I was putting on my makeup, and I heard a voice, and it sounded very, very familiar to me. And so I ran into the room, and the person who was over talking was gone. And I thought, well, that's disappointing. And then I tried to listen, and the very next day was a Saturday. And at the time they used to have like marathon episodes. And so the very next day I heard the exact same thing. And this time I ran into the room. Had I known who the character was going to be, I probably wouldn't have liked it so much, but it was Eric Weber on Law and Order SVU.
Oh my God.
And
yeah.
so, and it was the first episode because he did the two of them, right? So the first one, he wasn't in much. And then the second one, right? Which I always like to laugh and go, his belt wasn't tied right when he was like in the, like, because he was all in the uniform and everything. And so anyhow, kind of went from there, kind of try to figure out who the guy was. So lucky for us, you know, there's Chrome, right? So I looked it up and was able to find out that he was on the 100 and that he had been on Lost. So the time wait, what?
You probably ended up on Cusick Gallery because I did.
No, I didn't actually. So not at the time, I did later. And so I was on dialysis at the time. So what I would do is I would watch episodes of whatever.
Okay.
And so I started watching Lost. So I would get through about 3 episodes each time, right? And but I didn't skip to where he was because I wanted to have a background of the show. So I watched that first and then went to the 100 and found Marcus, and then signed up on Twitter to be like, okay, well, I know he's on Twitter. And then, and that's how I stumbled upon, in fact, I didn't stumble upon Cusick Gallery until Ian started following me. And that's how, because Kathy messaged me and was like, how do you know Ian or whatever? And
who the hell are you?
Yeah, who the hell are you? And so it kind of went from there. And then, but that was all because of Jam Bios. And I guess I had written a letter to Beth telling her what Jam Bios would mean for me, because at that time I didn't think I was going to survive dialysis a second time. And so I was telling her I was writing these things for my kids so they would have recipes and just my favorite memories of each of them, things like that. And she sent it to Ian. And so that's how Ian started following me. And I thought it was extremely kind. Like, what a nice thing to do. He doesn't know me from anybody. I was not affiliated with anyone on Twitter at that time. And Kathy sort of became my first person I talked to, and liked what she had to say. And I kind of stumbled upon Cusick Gallery that way. And then I became great friends with Sue, who I absolutely still adore. And anyway, so it went from there.
Kathy's our cruise director.
Yeah, she's like, here's where you want to
go. Could we have a better person as a cruise director? I don't think so.
It was great. Well, and then when I got to meet Kathy, I got to meet all of you at the same time.
Yeah.
So, and that was cool, because I guess at that time, you weren't going to like all the cons, like you hadn't been to a bunch of them.
Right.
So I just remember that specific day where I got to meet Ian for the first time. And I remember Mai and Ashley coming around the corner, and Ashley goes, okay, we need to talk. Or no, Mai said, and then I looked at Ashley and I go, is he there? What? like I was an FBI agent. He's there. He's in the net. and so Ashley looked at me and went, yes. Then he took me over, and basically everybody like pushed me in front because there was like a little bit of a group of us. And
you mean they bullied you?
They did not bully me. So I get to the front, and Sue was like trying to whisper, but she was behind me, so clearly I can hear her. And she goes, Ian, and he goes, and this is my favorite thing about Ian, is when he doesn't know something, but you tell him something, he goes, I know. No, he didn't. So I like to call him out on it all the time. But yeah, I think he's a fantastic guy and a real gentleman.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Lulu's turn. Poor Lulu has not met him yet. Only on the virtual.
Soon. Right, soon. Yes, soon.
Who hasn't?
Lulu.
Lulu, yeah.
And neither has Chrissy. Chrissy couldn't be with us today because she's not feeling good. So not have had a chance. And so she's like, he needs to come to Australia. And I'm like, well, you need to come here because,
Yeah, but Chrissy also thinks Ian's her biggest fan. So
yeah, that's not true.
I play guitar.
He has pictures of Chrissy and is like, in Hawaii.
Right.
Like, I just need one autographed.
Poor Chrissy's in Australia. Ian's a nice guy. He's like, I'm probably not going to get to Australia. So Chrissy's like, what about New Zealand? And he goes, maybe, but like.
But I felt bad for her because he was like very straightforward with it. He's like, no, probably not. And if he only knew, like, because he was kind of casual about it, but like us, we could look at Chrissy and you could just kind of see her going,
that just was a bombshell for her.
Well, you have to go to Ian. That's kind of the deal.
That's what I learned.
Yeah, that's definitely the deal.
He's a moving target, so
he leaves his island, his comfort, his home. We have to too, and he's worth it. He's still worth it.
Yeah, it is worth it.
And Lulu, you were sucked into Ian's world from Marcus.
Yeah,
me too. Our story is not that grand, but Marcus
but that was still a good way to be sucked in, because Marcus is still dear to me too. I mean, Desmond's number one, but I really think Marcus is number two.
I was a huge Wolves fan, and I loved Desmond, but Marcus was the one that was like, damn.
Right.
I think it was the beard. But I also like stern Marcus. Like, so like in the beginning, when he first walks in the room and Abby's in there, it was like, to me, I was like, because I had already been a fan of Paige Turco from her All My Children days. So when he walked in, I was like, oh, the chemistry is off the marks. Like, like I knew that. And so I was like, oh, it's just a matter of time for them. But then when season 3 happened and all of a sudden he was there with the beard, I was like, hello.
Yeah, but I heard, Ma, you didn't really follow the 100 Live. Yeah, right. Oh.
Me?
Yeah, I think.
No, I wasn't a fan. I had a lot going on raising my kids as a single parent at the time, and I had to decide where my time was going to be spent. So I wasn't as active in the fandom back then, but
I think you made a good move.
Stumped for me and did a wonderful job for many, many years. So I appreciate her for that.
A few years, but I sure was glad when you came back.
Yeah, I would love to have all 4 of you on one day, if possible.
Yeah, I'm sure we could get them. I'm sure we
could get
them.
It's hard. It was hard just to get us, and then Chrissy put out last minute, literally.
Yeah, it's really hard. Well, we have so many people, and that's been kind of an issue with us sometimes, for the box people. It's like
and working, right? I mean,
I go back to work on, like, for instance, I go back to work on Thursday, so I had about a month and a half pretty much off.
I did not know you were off.
I was off for a little bit, so just to make extra money, I was doing like Uber deliveries and stuff just to make a little bit extra. But I absolutely, I just realized in the background my TV was on. I don't want it to be a distraction. So anyway, what are
you pointing at?
It was a little easier, right? Like, it was a little easier, like, for me to be like, oh, I can do here, here, and here. But for, Lulu, Lulu was at, summer camp because she's a counselor, and, and then if she was on vacation for a little bit. And
she looks like one of the campers. That's the fun part.
I was going to say, she could pass for one of the campers. My granddaughters are at camp this week, actually.
Are they really?
Their second week, because they loved it so much the first week. Their parents said,
okay. Congratulations on the newest member of your family. He's so adorable.
Thank you.
I don't want to get too specific because I know.
No, but first grandson, that was big. Leave it to the girl to give me the grandson, right?
I know, right?
The boys couldn't do that.
No.
Watch, but wait, because now you're probably going to get more. Well,
I don't know, but it would be nice. A couple more, maybe. We'll see.
Remind me at the end of this video.
Yes.
I have something very exclusive to share.
Oh,
remind
me.
I already shared it on the box.
You two will be the first to. Actually, Lulu, you even haven't heard it yet. All right, so
I already shared it on the box, people.
Oh, she already shared it.
Don't look.
I won't.
I made a video. I'm just kidding. I didn't upload it. I just wanted to read.
Okay.
Funny.
So funny.
Be careful when you're teasing Tina, you know.
Yeah, I'm very sensitive.
well.
I'm very sensitive.
It's not funny because I think I'm hysterical, right? But I don't think Tina thinks I'm hysterical, because a lot of times Tina's like,
yeah.
I can't.
And other times she'll be cracking up laughing. I'm like, okay, tell me what you're gonna go.
I think I'm bipolar. I swear to God. Like I'm working on myself.
I think she's been doing incredible. Like, so Tina for a long time was like, hey, I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna get out there. And then she went out to visit her. We have 10 minutes left on this one, but she went out to visit her brother, and then ended up coming out here for a couple days and stuff. And even for that was huge for her, because she had such a hard time, the anxiety. So like even when she went to go see
God bless Kathy.
That was a hard.
She walked me through it on
You did it.
Like
first you take your Xanax, and then you take more Xanax.
So, right, Tina?
I'm always afraid to take
it a little bit.
Don't be afraid to take it, Tina. I was afraid to take it initially too. Of course, I was more afraid of having a full-blown panic attack on the airplane or anywhere. So that's why I eventually did. But I'm still like that though. When I take a Xanax, and I don't need them nearly as much as I used to, but I'm still always like, oh, maybe I'll just wait and see, do I need it? Do I want it?
Like that's so,
but I mean, steps though. I couldn't have done that 10 years ago. There's no way. That would have been
like
Ashley impossible.
Took 10 planes to get there.
Well, Ashley did. Yeah, Ashley had, more than what I did. I go from here to New York City, and then New York City over. So that's what, two planes?
You were in New York City and you didn't say hi?
I always go, but it's a quick, I'm just changing planes. I can't leave the, what is it, JFK? That's where I think I switch always.
That's true. I would have been mad if you.
So it's funny that the guy that has anxiety flying is helping everybody else fly to go see him.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
And yet he still doesn't like to fly, where at least I've gotten where I actually look forward to it now, and I actually enjoy it. I mean, granted, it's a long way from where I started from, really. But yeah, I don't stress, and maybe it's now knowing, I've got Katie across the country, and I enjoy going out there. And so, and then, going to the fan conventions, wherever, it's all played into the whole thing. And just, the more you do it, the easier it gets. At least for me, it did. I don't.
Well, Ian said it perfectly. It's the process. Once you're in the air.
Well, true. Yeah. The packing for me, I don't mind the airport stuff, but it's the 2 days leading up, and I never start except 2 days out. That's my problem. If I would start, like Erica, she's so good. She starts a week ahead. A week ahead at least. She's putting out
like packing her stuff.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, I'll do it. I know this time I'm going to do it. I'm going to give myself plenty of time, and I'm still 2 days before maybe starting, and that is nerve-wracking. That's the most nerve-wracking part.
It's motivating.
I guess. I don't know. I'm just always, cussing myself out, saying, "Why'd you wait again so late? Let's do this. Let's do that."
I'm having anxiety thinking about it.
I know, right?
Are you really?
Right, it is. But the airport, the airport doesn't bother me as much now. I guess that too, the more I did it, the easier it gets. And I know pretty much what to do with security and what to bring and what not to bring. And, like I was telling Gary, when we went out to San Jose, he wore socks, his tied up shoes, all that stuff that you got to take off. Yeah. I go in flip-flops now. I'm like, I don't care. I'm taking my flip-flops off. I'll walk barefoot through that.
Maybe if I
don't care. I don't care what's on the floor. That's what he said. What about the germs on there? I said, I don't care. I'm barefoot all the time. I'm not, it's so much quicker.
Just slip them off on your feet.
Yeah, just slip them off. Go through that thing.
Do you know, like, every single time I've flown, I'm always the person that gets called to the side.
Are you really?
I always have to take off my shoes. I have to do this thing. One time they made me put my hands in this. Like, I want to say, no, they wiped my hands with something. And then I can't remember, I had to do something after that. And then on the way back from New York, they took my nephew Alec, and he had to go into, it was like this tube. and he had to stand in it, and this whole thing like went around him, and it wasn't like where they just wand you. And I was laughing because he was like 10 years old, like
He
what you
probably thought it was
right?
cool.
Like he was so mad. He was like, he was really upset about it.
Every 10th person or something. But yeah, they're looking for gunshot residue on your hands, Sonny.
Yeah,
Oh
but
my
like,
gosh. Were they? No.
Yeah, I'm packing. Yeah, you got to watch me.
Yeah. Has everybody seen Big Sky?
Big Sky.
I've seen the first couple episodes, and it starts off with a banger. Quite the banger.
We're into second season 2. I think I'm about on the 5th or 6th episode now.
I like it so far.
I really am so surprised. I mean, I didn't know what to expect.
I didn't even know he wasn't friggin'.
Well, that's all I'll say.
What's with the spoilers, Kathy? What the heck?
I know.
I will cut that out.
I love him.
That's
I love him on the show.
That's why maybe we shouldn't talk about it. I'll spoil everything.
No, but we got to talk about Ian's part. So
no, I wouldn't. When Sonny said we shouldn't talk about Ian, I respectfully disagree.
I never said we couldn't talk.
Well,
about
only
we can talk about Ian. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite subject. So she'll talk about Ian all night.
Not for nothing. I don't know if you guys ever thought of doing your own podcast. I think that would be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We just don't. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
What?
Even if you just broke it down by shows, our favorite episodes, our stuff like that, new content coming to Cusick Gallery. So, what gets the most hits on Cusick Gallery? I mean, you guys definitely have a lot to work with.
Yeah, I like that you guys have a link for each family member too, because they all
well now, as the boys have gotten older, and I mean, initially we didn't really even include them because obviously privacy and everything.
They were
but now they're adults and they obviously have their own, most of them careers that they're doing and that want, love the promotion too.
We just have the 2. Esau doesn't have anything really. I don't think I have Esau on there yet, but
but he is very musical. Esau is very musical and plays too, but he's just more private, Esau's most private. Yeah.
He's not trying to launch a career or anything, so.